Oh no, the holidays are ruined!
Well, at least for these families.
And it's our job to figure out whose fault it is. Happy apple picking day! Or day after. But it's okay, this one was on purpose, because it's Christmas! And Hanukkah. Just a few quick reminders for any of our new friends. If you want a chance for your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send them to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple. And as a reminder, we all come from different branches of the apple tree. And what that means is that we've all lived different lives and have different experiences. And those experiences are going to shape our opinions on things, our boundaries, how we even hear and internalize these stories. So if someone's disagreeing with you on a point, instead of just yelling at them, maybe just ask why or what they've experienced to make them feel that way. Sometimes you learn something new, sometimes you teach somebody something new, sometimes y'all teach me new things, and that's all okay. None of us are ever too old to learn something new. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking. Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for ruining my family's Christmas by not showing up? My 29 female family has a tradition where we do a big Christmas get-together every year. And the highlight is the white elephant gift exchange. It's always been a fun time. Are you coming to snuggle with me? I don't know what you want. Okay. Can you make a decision? You're stressing out, Snoo. It's always been a fun time, but this year, my family decided to raise the price limit to $250 per gift. I'm honestly a little shocked. I get inflation has hit, but that's a lot of money for one gift, especially for something that's supposed to be fun and quirky, not something super expensive or meaningful. I have a pretty tight budget this year with unexpected medical bills and just kind of life in general expenses. After paying for all my bills and essentials, there's barely enough left to get by. The idea of spending $250 on a gift is totally unrealistic for me. I started feeling like I was being pushed out of the tradition because of my financial situation. I told my mom that honestly, if I can't participate in the gift exchange, I might just not come at all. I don't want to be the only person who has to sit awkwardly and watch everyone else exchange expensive gifts when I can't contribute. Plus, I didn't want to feel embarrassed about not meeting their expectations. Well, my mom thinks I'm being petty and ruining Christmas because it's just one gift. My dad says that I'm overreacting and that it's not about the price, it's about the spirit of Christmas. To be fair, I do agree with that, but still, $250? Some of my siblings are saying that I should just suck it up and join in because it's about being together, while others are telling me that they agree with me, but they're still going to participate since a majority of the family agreed to this. There's approximately 18 to 25 people in my family that will be there, and we're still expected to get gifts for our family members as well, like our parents and our siblings and our grandparents. I don't want to make a big scene or cause drama, but at the same time, I feel like this is a massive financial burden that's being placed on me, and I just don't know if it's worth it to show up and feel out of place. So, am I the bad apple if I ruin Christmas by not going? This might be a really weird comparison, and I'm so sorry. You know, obviously, like, my family never did big Christmas traditions because I grew up Jewish. And Hanukkah's always, it's 8 nights, and so we just do, like, family and light candles as a family. We've never done, like, giant festivity, like, you know what I mean? Like, we might play board games together, but there's not that. So, like, when I hear this, I tend to think of, like, this might be weird, I'm so sorry, weird expectations with, like, weddings. Like, that's what rule that I always talk about is, like, echoing in my head right now. The idea that, like, if you have a child-free wedding, that's fine, that's your wedding, you're welcome to make whatever rules that you want, but you have to also understand that some people may not be able to attend, and that's also fine. Or, like, we had a story years ago about this woman that was like, I'm hosting, but I don't want any alcohol. And then she got all mad that people weren't showing up. Like, you're allowed to have whatever rules you want for your wedding or your Christmas traditions or whatever in your house. You can do whatever you want. But you have to understand that some people, like, aren't going to want to be there, aren't going to be able to make it. And that just is what it is. That's what I'm thinking about for this. The family's welcome to make whatever rules they want for White Elephant. As ridiculous as that sounds, $250. Oh my God. Like, let me tell you guys, I love giving presents. I love giving presents. I love buying my loved ones presents. I love it. I spend a lot of money on my family each year, okay? I can tell you what it is because by the time this is posted, they're already going to have received it because they're going to receive it like the first night of Hanukkah. But I got my brother this giant, he loves plants, right? This giant, like 6 or 7 foot tall plant stand with multiple shelves and built-in lights. Like, he's gonna love it. I got my parents each these different red light therapy lamps to help with their like aches and pains, because like that's supposed to be very therapeutic. And they're always talking about how their joints hurt or my mom's arthritis is acting up, like things like that. And red light's also supposed to help rosacea, so I got my mom like the lamp because she has it like in her face and in her eyes. I'm a good gift giver. Like, I am. The idea of a gag gift being $250 makes me want to cry. That's wow. And like, I'm a very privileged and fortunate person, but I'm not frivolous. Like, I don't just spend to spend. That makes me sweat a little bit. That's crazy. And you know what? If it's important to the family that that's their tradition, I mean, I guess you can do what you want. Like, you can't control other people. I don't like it. I'm not gonna go bad apple for the parents, but I'm definitely going crab apple. Like, I think that's ridiculous. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go bad apple for the parents, and I'll tell you why. For their child to come to them and say, hey, this new rule that you implemented, I can't afford this. And for them to guilt her like, oh, it's just one present, blah, 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 blah. That's gross. Everyone has a different financial situation. If your family tradition is like making your child stress about being able to put food on her table, maybe you need to reflect a little bit. The siblings telling them, just suck it up. How do you just suck up like $250 out of someone's budget? Or they're like paying medical bills and trying to like get their life on track. If it's so important to you guys to have this budget and it's not a big deal, or this minimum and it's not a big deal and blah, 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 and you're ruining Christmas by not coming, why don't you pay for her? Why don't you give her the money? Is that not an option? Oh, why? Because it's too much money? What? Okay, just thought I would ask. Yeah. So I'm going good apple for the daughter. I really wish those family members that like agree with her would speak up a little bit more, but those are my thoughts on that. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for not allowing my brother over for Christmas? My dad moved into our house because he's physically disabled. My older brother stopped by the other day after Thanksgiving, and my wife overheard him and my father trash talking her about the way she dresses and about how she's even about her cooking. Because of it, my brother's been banned from the house since, and my dad got a serious conversation about not gossiping about my household with family members or he'll be on the street. My wife is still semi-livid at my father for saying those things, so she refuses to interact with him or cook for him. I guess the whole thing was he was complaining about her cooking a while ago, and she told him, that's the food I made, eat it or starve, and so that's why she's a bad cook and super. My dad has never cooked or cleaned for himself, and my wife does call him pathetic, but that's because he kind of is. For Christmas, my brother still isn't allowed over, and my wife is barely on speaking terms with my dad. I won't intercede for him or make him special food that he likes. I mean, his disability doesn't keep him from cooking for himself, and he's been really bummed out. I told him it's his own fault for never learning to take care of himself. So I just need to know, am I the bad apple? I'm so glad that you put at the end that like his disability doesn't prevent him from doing these things for himself. Because I don't know what his disability is, but like that one line did so much for me. So if your dad is able to cook for himself and refuses, and then gives your wife crap for not doing it up to his standards, no, I 100% would be just as upset as she is. Like that, talk about ungrateful and unappreciative. And for you to welcome him into your home and for her to be like cooking for him and cleaning for him and housing him with you, and for him to just like sit there and badmouth you with another family member, that's so rude. I love that you stood up for her. I love that you stood your ground. I love that you decided, no, this is my wife and she's the priority. She lives here too. This is her home too. I love the boundary that you set. I love everything about it. I don't think you were wrong in the slightest bit. You're giving your father a chance to do better because he can't really do on his own right now. Your brother isn't allowed to come here. I think that like telling them, hey, if you apologize, we can rethink these arrangements for sure. I think that offering them the chance to, as long as your wife says it's okay. Like if your wife is not ready to hear an apology or anything like that, telling her, oh, well, they'll say sorry. No, which I don't think that you would because you've already been making really good choices. I'm just saying for other people listening, if your wife is ready to hear an apology, great. If not, keep doing what you're doing. But this for me is like very easy. I'm just going good apple. I wish more spouses did this. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for embarrassing my parents at Christmas dinner? I am a nurse practitioner, and I'm the primary care provider for a lot of the low-risk maternity cases at the practice where I work. I also work hand in hand with the doctors and midwives to create a healthy maternity, birth, and postpartum situation. My fiance is completing her residency. We live together and have for a few years now. We aren't really in a hurry to get married. Originally, we had plans to do so a couple years ago, but we just kind of got busy with life. This is driving my very religious parents crazy that their youngest son is living in sin. I don't really care. I'm an adult and I do what I want. And we are getting married in June. So we're visiting my parents for Christmas, and the way it came together this year is that everyone's at my parents' house. That's my folks, my 3 siblings, myself, my fiance, and 7 grandchildren, so 17 people in total. At dinner, my mom starts going on about how she's so glad that we're finally getting married and that she won't be embarrassed at church anymore. And my dad just went on about how he's so proud that his 3 older kids all waited to get married before moving in together, or got married right away after moving in together. My fiance was starting to get embarrassed, and I was getting mad over this stupid argument that we've had too many times. The family dinner was just the last straw for me. I've asked them repeatedly to just accept that they cannot control how I live my life. I refuse to stay with them when I come to visit, even if I come alone. Hotels are just easier. So I started at the dinner table, started talking about the premature baby that I'd been reading about lately. How it was almost 3 months premature and weighed about 1.6 pounds. It was super strong and healthy for being born so little in the NICU, and they had high hopes that the baby was going to do well. My mom and dad both got a deer in the headlights look on their faces. Too bad. They shouldn't have messed around with my fiance's feelings. So I asked about my oldest brother, since, you know, the family story is that he was born almost 4 months premature. Is there a chance that we could check out the family album where we keep all the records of the family births and stuff? Here's the thing. My brother was 9 pounds and almost 23 inches long when he was born. Prematurely. My grandmother told me all about it the first time my parents tried to shame me. And for those that aren't catching on, my point is that my brother wasn't born premature at all. They just say that he was to hide the fact that my mother was in her 2nd trimester when they got married. The subjects at the dinner table changed very fast, and after dinner, my parents told me that I shouldn't be trying to embarrass them with private things that aren't my concern. I told them that if I ever heard anything about my living arrangements ever again for the rest of my life, I would be happy to bring up this subject again. And I will not be as vague next time as I was tonight. Well, now my parents are mad at me for telling them how to behave in their own home. But my fiance is ecstatic that they seem to be off the subject for good, so was I the bad apple? No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Listen, I'm just gonna say the hypocrisy, I can't. It makes me mad. It makes me so mad. And you know that grandma gave him that tidbit of information because she was also tired of it. You know it. I think it's so funny when it turns around into the, well, this is none of your concern and this is a private matter and don't tell us how to act in our own house. But like, aren't you doing the exact same thing? What? What? Okay. If I start, I'm just gonna go on a tangent that's like longer than the rest of the video and I can't. So I'll leave it at this. I believe that everyone's beliefs are important to them and I love that for them and I hope that everyone holds their beliefs and values and morals close to their chest, right? My courtesy to you and like you being able to do and believe whatever you want ends when you try to dictate other people's lives. And other people's beliefs, and other people's whatever. You have your beliefs, and you have your morals and your values and whatever, and other people have their own. And you don't get to decide what other people's are. You just don't. And if you try to, I don't feel bad when it gets thrown back in your face. I just don't. I don't feel bad. You can be embarrassed. I just don't feel bad for you. If you're gonna be a hypocrite, or if you're gonna try and force other people to conform the way that you want to live, like, no. I once met someone who was like that, and they used to complain all the time about, oh my gosh, the hippies are trying to push their veganism on me. And I'm like, Karen, do you hear yourself? Just because Walmart sells vegan options does not mean anyone's trying to push veganism on you. Just because there is a restaurant that exists that is all vegan options does not mean anyone's trying to push it on you. But you trying to lecture people about their lifestyle, that is you pushing your beliefs onto them. Just in case anyone was wondering. Just existing is not pushing beliefs on you, but lecturing people about their choices, that is, in case anyone was confused. Okay, moving on. I'm going good, Apple. I love all these partners standing up for their significant others today. I love it! That's a good holiday present, huh, Vixie? You sweet, sweet baby girl. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for fighting with my child's teacher? My daughter had a spelling test which included some holiday words for extra credit. One of the words was Hanukkah with the CH spelling. My daughter spelled it the way that I just did, but the teacher marked it wrong and corrected it to Hanukkah with an H and 2 Ks. She said to my daughter, "Ha, you're Jewish and you don't know how to spell Hanukkah?" I think she meant it jokingly, but my daughter was very annoyed. My daughter told the teacher that Hanukkah with the CH spelling is correct, but the teacher didn't believe her. I told the teacher that that spelling with a CH and 1 K is also correct and that my daughter should get the point, and the teacher argued with me. She said that Hanukkah with an H is more correct because it's more commonly used than Hanukkah. I said if any spelling is more correct, it would be the CH because the CH represents the sound from the back of your neck that you're supposed to make. The teacher finally agreed to correct the test, but seemed really sour about it. And just complained that she was just trying to be inclusive. I said, I appreciate that, but she should keep in mind that if words aren't in English, there might be multiple acceptable spellings for it, and that they should all be given full credit. My husband says that I overacted, and honestly, it probably wouldn't have bothered me so much if the word was something else. But I resented this teacher who isn't Jewish arguing with me and my daughter about how to spell our own holiday. What? Oh no, I 1000% agree with that. 1000%. Listen, I know I've said this before about Apple. I've told this story before. But I'll never forget when I was younger, for those that don't know, like world history classes that usually get freshman year of high school, like part of the old curriculum was world religions. They kind of cut that since I left. I don't know if they put it somewhere else, but when I left, there wasn't really a place for it, really. Anyways, and I just vividly remember this teacher trying to teach the class that Jews worship this God named Yahweh. And I told her, I'm like, that's not right. That's not a thing. You're teaching that wrong. Like, it's creating misinformation. And this woman was just so angry and was like, well, this is what's in the textbook and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, it's still wrong. Like, I'm telling you, I am a part of this religion. I grew up with it. You're not teaching it correctly. And she just had it was the most infuriating thing, her telling me that I was wrong and that she was the teacher. It doesn't matter that you're the teacher. It doesn't matter. As someone who was a teacher, it doesn't matter. And just for those that don't know, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all Abrahamic religions. They all worship the same God, right? They just do. It's all Abraham's God, like the one God that came to Abraham. They're the Abrahamic religions. Now, in Judaism, really saying like God, like God's name, you don't say it in Hebrew because it's thought to be so holy and important that like us mere mortals like have no right? So like we say Adonai, which is like Lord, I think, like our Lord, but we don't actually say, you don't say God in Hebrew, if that makes sense. And the letters that are given to what would be the name of God are, what is it? Yud He, Vav He, maybe? I don't remember. I have to look at it. I can't remember. But those are the Hebrew letters, right? Vowels are different in Hebrew. Like each letter, there's not letters that are vowels. There are symbols under words that are vowels. Like it's very different than English. That's why I read at like an elementary school level, because I need to see the vowels. It's fine. In Hebrew, not in English, just to make that clear. But so like, you don't actually know how it's said because you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to know how to say it. So like when English-speaking people saw the letters, they tried to translate it to English, and that's where they got Yahweh. And first of all, saying Jews worship a God named Yahweh is very misleading. Second of all, it's just not correct. And it also makes it look like Jews and Christians don't worship the same God, which they do, but anyways, I'm just ranting because it pisses me off. There was another, when I was a teacher, I remember like when I was tasked with the course, World Religions, like not just the little world history unit, but like the course. It was so important to me to do research and try to make sure that I was knowledgeable about what I was talking about, because I never wanted one of my students to have that kind of moment in class. And I remember in my research, I remember realizing that some of the activities that World Religions did for world history just weren't correct and were like kind of offensive. Specifically, these activities tailored to Buddhism and Hinduism. And so I tried to go to my teacher peers and I was like, hey, maybe we should not do this activity because like it's wrong, it's incorrect, it's misleading, and that could be like really offensive. And what made it such a big deal is that our school had such a large Indian population that doing Hinduism and Buddhism so incorrectly like was a really, I don't know why no one complained about it before, to be honest. Like it blew my mind that they got away with doing that for so long. But anyways, they literally told me like, oh, well, this is what we've done for 15 years and it's what we're gonna keep doing. And I'm like, why? What? Why would you ever think that because you've done it forever, we've done it wrong forever, we're just gonna keep doing it wrong? Why? Oh, it made me so mad. Anyways, I'm done rambling about this. I always am for individuals doing this and fighting for actual representation in class and like actual accuracy. Now, I will say there are, especially when it comes to younger grades, sometimes there are complex ideas in cultures that little kids just don't understand yet. However, this is not one of those. So I'm going Good Apple. I think this mom and daughter, 1,000%. Like, get the extra credit point. You earned that. You deserve that. You shouldn't miss out on an extra credit point just because your teacher's being a bigot. Like, no. Good Apple. Oh, I think all of our apples are on the good list this year. The nice list. I'm sorry. I didn't grow up on either, so I don't know. I'm trying my best. At least that's what I got. Did you get anything similar or different? I would love to hear down in the comments. And for your well wishes, I'm not even gonna look up what national day it is today. It is Christmas Day, and it's the first night of Hanukkah. Fun fact, Hanukkah and Jewish calendars go by the lunar calendar, and so that's why Hanukkah changes every year. And every 4 years they have a leap year where they add an extra month, because all months are all 28 days, and to keep up with the rest of the world, they add an extra month every 4 years. And so that's why it's so late this year. Like, I can't even remember the last time Hanukkah was this late. That's crazy. So if you are celebrating, I hope you have a Merry Christmas I hope you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy Holidays. And if you are not, I hope you are at least enjoying your time off from work that I know most people are getting today. And I hope that you at least reach out to a friend who is celebrating and tell them that you're thinking of them and you're thankful for them. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and hope to see y'all next week. Happy holidays. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.